Welcome to my podcast, You Are More. I'm your host, Amy, and I am so excited to be here today. We are talking about it's February, guys. It's Valentine's Day. It's Valentine's week. We're going to be talking about people, relationships. And I'm going to talk to you about your greatest gift in life is your relationships. Your greatest gift in life are who do you have friendships with? And we're going to talk about that because when I look at people and I look at who they have relationship with, that's how I determine if they've got true wealth in life. True wealth in life is people. True wealth in life is relationships. And sometimes people say, well, it's just me and my three. I don't really need to have people. I don't need it. Guys, you're never going to go very far in this life without people. People move the needle in everything. They determine your next steps. They determine your next chapters. They're gatekeepers. People. How do you relate to people? Guys, I just actually taught a junior achievement class to Foster, my 8-year-old, his class. I taught junior achievement this morning, and they asked me what I thought, the teacher did, what I thought the greatest skill set was going into anything. And I said, communication. Closely tied to communication is your ability to listen and then communicate, right? But communication, the ability to have a conversation with another human being that actually engages. And so the kids kind of looked around. They're like, okay, whatever. I knew I was talking probably more with the teachers. But communication is such a key skill. And so many times because we're getting indoctrinated into a world where we text and we don't really have one-on-one conversations, and we social media it and we highlight reel it and do all that. But here's the reality of it. Your relationships are going to dictate your happiness in life. Your true happiness is going to come through the authenticity of what do you have surrounding you? Who do you have surrounding you? And so if maybe you've been in a situation where you haven't put a high value on relationships, maybe you don't trust people. I mean, that's a real thing. Maybe you've just set yourself up. You're like Camp David. You're guarded and you're no one's getting into your inner world. No one's going to hurt you. No one's going to ever do that to you again. Well, here's the unfortunate thing. You're going to sit on the sidelines of life and you're going to miss out on the greatest things in life, sitting there because you're hurt, right? Sitting there because you had someone that you were friends with or you had a relationship with that they hurt you. They were not loyal to you or whatever it is, right? Here's the thing. Relationships are the key to your happiness. It's not your successes, it's your relationships. The quality of your life is 100% dependent, not 90%, 100% dependent upon the quality of your relationships. Guys, think about it. The quality of your friendships, the quality of your relationships determine your happiness on this earth. They determine so much more, but we're not even talking about all the other things they determine. We're talking about just your inner person. Are you happy? And happy is one of those things that I don't focus on because happy is fleeting. Happy is just it. You can be happy one minute and not another. But like that deep joy, like that inner peace. Like I've got really good friendships, guys. I've walked through seasons where, I lost one of my very, very dearest friends for 25 years. Went to heaven. And I can tell you that I walked around for probably a year and I didn't really know what to do because I was so used to that person in my life. And I can tell you that I would look around and I'm like, wow, I struggled through that year. I struggled because there wasn't and I don't mean a replacement, but there wasn't like a second, right? There wasn't, okay, who do I go to now? It wasn't there. And I've walked through seasons like that where I looked at my friendship group and I'm like, yeah, these people are kind of on the outside and I have good relationships with them. But my core group of people, it's your core group of people that are going to either help you they're the jetpack on your rocket ship, or they're going to sink your ship, right? So you got to make sure you got the right core group of people. So again, it's all about relationships. You definitely don't want someone in your boat that is just singing your praises and loving you and da-da-da-da, all the while they're just drilling holes in the boat and you don't know it. Like, I've been around that too. But the God-ordained people, if you don't have God-ordained relationships in your life that you're saying, Amy, you know what? I'd love to have that. I don't have that. All I can say to you is when you're missing something in one area, is to find someone that you look at and you're like, yeah, I'll go be their friend. That requires you're going to have to step out of the boat. You're going to have to maybe ask for coffee. You're going to have to go take the leap of faith and put yourself out there. But all life is so boring if you don't put yourself out there, isn't it, guys? I mean, it is boring. If you just stay in same old, same old, same old, same old, my friends are the same, my everything I eat is the same, my vacations are the same, my job is everything is status quo. That is called a life that is dull, right? Literally, if you want to move anything different in your life, it's going to be based on a relationship. You're going to have to take the leap of faith. You're going to have to make the phone call and you're going to have to put yourself out there. And could you possibly face rejection? You definitely could. But you could get a great opportunity to have a conversation with someone that totally becomes just a key element in your life by taking the risk. Guys, I've had those moments. I've had those moments. And I'll go back and I'm going to relate some to you that just goes back to my business, okay? So there is an agent by the name of Marty Hampton. And for years, Marty Hampton was like the rock star agent of Remax throughout the world. She was like the number one agent in the world, like for a couple years, and then the number one agent in the US for probably, I don't know, I think 5 or 6 years. I might be wrong, but it was a long time. And she's been really prolific in our industry. She's started programs, national things she's launched, like the Coming Soon Homes and stuff. This is all her. And I really, really, really wanted to meet her. I'm like, she's a giant in this industry. She's impactful in this industry. And so I'll never forget it. My mom and I were going to a Barbara Corcoran shoot in New York. And I had told my mom, hey, this Marty's going to be there. I really want to meet her. And she's like, okay. And we were sitting in the hotel lobby and I was waiting for my Uber or taxi or whatever it was at the time. This is about 8 or 9 years ago. And I'm sitting there and all of a sudden I see her walk down the hall. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I go, Mom, that's Marty. I got kind of nervous and I had that 1 or 2 seconds of radical courage. I popped up and I walked over to her. I said, hey, Marty, I'm Amy. I'm going to the same spot you are. And I already have an Uber ordered. Do you want to ride with me? She's like, sure. Literally that 1 or 2 seconds of courage changed the entire trajectory of my life. Marty is now my business partner. She's a friend of mine. We are encouragers and prayer warriors and for each other on lots of different levels. But that 1 or 2 seconds of radical, like I just had like, oh, I got to find it in me. Oh, I got to go talk to her. Now today I can say, well, that isn't a big deal. Like I would go talk to a lot of people. But back then, and we've all had back thens, right? This is almost a decade ago. So back then, and you could think, well, I'm not this and I'm not that, I'm not this, I'm not that. But we've all had moments where we had to take that risk to reach out, to make that contact, to make that connect that put us and made us uncomfortable. And if you've never been there, I have to challenge you and say, I think you're living life not in the largest capacity that you could, and not to your highest capacity of yourself, right? So step out and make those calls. Most of the time, we don't do it because we're afraid of rejection. Most of the time. So going back to relationships, when I look at my life, my greatest assets are people. My greatest assets are who I have on, basically speed dial. They're my greatest assets. From my husband to my dearest friends, they're my greatest assets. To my mom and dad, to my sister, those relationships are the gift in life. And they're also the mirror in your life. And I say mirror, you're like, what the heck? They're always reflecting to you who you are. And sometimes if they're really like true, they're going to show you, hey, you need to work on this. You got a blind spot here. You got a blind spot there. They're not always just, hey, yay. They have the ability to say, hey, I think you need a little course correction. You're going off a little ways. And that is even a greater gift. The fact that you have people in your life that you've given permission to that know that they can say something to you. And I have about a handful of those that I've given permission to speak into my life and to say, hey, you got to get back on point here. You're not living there. I can't believe you're talking like that. That call me to accountability, that call me to a different level. I'm telling you guys, if you do not have that person in your life, go find them. Go find them. Go find them. If you start to ask God to bring the right people, the people that are going to take you into your next season, the people that can come around you, the people that are of a same spirit, I'm telling you, they're going to start to show up. And it is like beautiful when that happens. And you're going to be amazed at what happens when you just keep taking the next step and keep taking the next step, right? I can pinpoint every change in my life to taking that step, to making the phone call. Every time, it's always required me. I've always had to be the initiator of it, right? But literally, I've taken the phone call. I've I've made I've taken the risk. I've taken the leap and reached out and said, "Please have coffee with me. Please, I want to meet you. Please, let's have lunch." And I might have gotten some kickback and some resistance for a while. And you just keep pushing through one step. Just keep walking your path, keep walking your path, keep walking your path. And you're going to be amazed at the relationships that can show up in your life. Gate changing relationships, season changing relationships, rocket ships to your entire future, rocket ships to your entire purpose on this earth. You're going to be amazed. And then I'm going to tell you, you're going to have that group of people that not only are rocket ships to you, that are not only your encouragers, but they're in the trenches with you. Boy, guys, I've walked through some things. And you're like, it doesn't look like it, Amy. It looks all shiny around you. No, no one's life's perfect. Everyone's got issues. But I've had people show up. And those people that showed up for me, especially a couple years ago as I walked through a health crisis, as those people showed up for me, guess what? They only got elevated in my mind. They're elevated. Those people are in my heart at a deep, deep level. They showed up for me. They sent me, verses and scriptures, and they prayed for me. They showed up for me. They showed up for me. They checked in on me. Guys, here's the thing. When you get in those deep, dark trenches in life, and every life is going to go through the valleys and the highs and the lows of life, right? There's going to be days of dark days. When those people come along, and sometimes it's surprising who actually shows up during dark days. Sometimes it's surprising who shows up in those dark seasons and literally helps lift you out. I can honestly say there are so many days that if it weren't for a conversation that I had with somebody, if it weren't for the ability to have a real conversation, I don't know how I would have made it to where I've made it so far. Like, it's been people coming behind me, keep people praying for me, people being kind to me, people opening doors for me. Guys, and I look around and I'm like, that is the gift in life. The gift in life is your people. It is your tribe. That is the greatest gift. And above that, there is nothing. There's nothing. So I'm going to go back again to this situation with Marty. When I took the leap and connected with her, I want to tell you another thing too. If you're drawn to somebody, it's usually because you see something in them that's like you. Interesting, right? If you're drawn to somebody, I'm going to say it again. If you're drawn to somebody, it's because you see yourself in them. So I'm drawn to Marty. I'm drawn to the fact that she is literally just an innovator and a trailblazer in this industry. I'm drawn to it. I must see something like that in myself, just looking at that, right? Because I made the approach. And here's the thing. Within an hour, Marty and I have had a long-lasting relationship, 1 hour of conversation, and we are locked because we're similar, right? We have similar spirits. We have similar purpose. We have similar intent. Guys, those gifts, those pivot points, here's the thing. Fast forward 7 years, fast forward to last year, again, I'm getting ready to make a decision. I get Marty on the phone and she's like, hang tight, Amy. And again, I pivot and another world opens up. You just don't know what they're going to be and who they're going to be in your life. You don't know. When you meet somebody, you don't know the impact they're going to have in your life or that you could have in theirs. I think relationships with purpose are win-win. They're not just someone sucks and someone takes and the other person's always giving. It's a two-way streak, right? And there might be times where it's a bit uneven, but that's only for a season, right? So going back to it, if you're a person that said, man, I feel a little anemic on the relationship side of things in my life, it's just because you haven't put your focus on it. It's because you haven't been intentional about it. But if that's you, if you're like looking at your life and you're like, I'm anemic in my friendship base, like I've got a few, maybe, or maybe not, then ask God to bring to you people that you can show friendship to. Because everything in my life is always, every negative, every lack in my life has always been turned by literally doing the opposite. When I wasn't married and I didn't have a date and I was lonely, I sewed into people that were married. I bought them, I sent them out on dates. I took care of their babysitter. I mean, financially. And every person, they had kids. Oh, so into that, so into that, so into that. Like everywhere I've wanted to go in my life, I have sewn into it. I need a friend, go be a friend. I need money, go give money. Guys, it is the truth that spins everything out of your out of your lack, sow in abundance, and it's going to reap abundance, right? He who has a bountiful eye increases. You're looking at things and you're looking at that. And instead of being jealous, instead of being, oh, that's not my life, instead of, oh, I wish I had that, go sow into that person. Go give to that person. I remember when I got into real estate, I was like broke as a joke, really. And I went out for dinner and there was a family there and they were really, really successful family, that really blessed family, right? And I literally walked over. I told the waiter at the time, I'm like, hey, I want to take care of that bill. Guys, that bill to them was probably nothing. To me, I'm like, okay, that's kind of like a car payment. All right, okay. Well, guess what? I want to go. And I felt so compelled to sow into them, right? It's always been what I've done. It's always my default mechanism is if you have lack, then sow. If you have lack in any area, then sow. If you need a friend, go be a friend. If you need money, go give money. If you need anything, anything that you need, you have the ability to create it by doing the exact opposite of how you feel. You don't have friends? Go take the risk, make the phone call, go be a friend. Guys, it is February and it is a month of, I mean, focusing on those we love and I love it. And I'm excited about it because it is the absolute gold in life. If you tell me, if you show me someone's phone records, you show me who they have in their contacts, that's the gold. I don't need to see their bank account. I just need to see their relationships, right? Here is the truth. Let that be our priority to really come alongside your relationships and shore them up. COVID did crazy things to relationships, right? Things changed, things blew apart, things got divided, things got separated. But now reevaluate. Who do you want in your life? Who do you care about in your life? Reach out to them. Reignite some relationships that you enjoyed. Let them know how much you actually care about them. Guys, people in this world right now need more affirmation, more love, more acceptance than they've ever needed. Right? So be the light. Be the light. And let's let this February be a one that we focus on. Let's just sow into our relationships with your words. Sow into them with your words because that's critical too. You can, again, have an anemic relationship because you haven't sown anything into it. You haven't put any good deposits in it. I'm always a person that says, okay, in the relationship industry, in that, it's not any different than a bank account. You got to make deposits in it. You got to make deposits into those relationships before you can ever have the right to pull anything out or ask for anything. Right? It's an equity-based relationship. You got to keep making deposits in things. Because if you keep always just pulling and pulling and pulling, pretty soon you've got, it's bare bones. There's nothing left to pull. That's not there. The account is drained and it is at zero. There's nothing more to give. So I hope you've enjoyed this little quick talk on relationships. I hope it kind of realigns and maybe even repositions your thoughts towards it, even causes some people to float across your mind that you need to or you want to be in a relationship. And I pray most of all, it gives you the courage to reach out, make the connection of someone that you would enjoy a friendship with, but you've always felt intimidated to reach out to. I promise you, those are the game-changing, season-changing activities in your life. Thanks so much for listening to my podcast. As always, we're trying to come along and give you things that are going to move the needle in your life, that'll cause you to reach everything you're called to reach and accomplish on this earth. And people and friendships are the lifeline to all of it. They're the doorkeeper and the gatekeeper to all of it. So, as always, know this: you are more. Thanks so much.